Hi, everybody, and welcome to week 4 of the Creator Accelerator program. Very excited to see so many familiar faces in here again. And I hope all of you guys are feeling just as motivated because we are halfway through now, which honestly is well to think about. Time is truly flying, and so are the amount of posts you guys are putting up because absolutely respect it. Keep up the hard work, guys, because you guys are putting in a lot of effort. And if you guys are just popping in here, maybe you aren't familiar with what the Creator Accelerator program is. It is a program hosted by our lovely hosts, Blurp and Streamladder, and it is a 6-week competition pulling in a ton of creators. And the whole goal is to motivate us to go and lock in, to work harder, and to try to make the social media dreams that we have a reality. So we are already halfway through hosting this already, and every single week we have amazing speakers coming on. We already have 3 weeks of speakers. And again, I just want to add, if you want to access these calls, etc., afterwards, the VOD will be immediately available, so don't worry about that. And then aside from that, you can also grab the VOD also on Blurp's YouTube channel, and it will be fully edited. So if a lot of people were like, yeah, time zones, this, that, don't worry. The VOD will also immediately be available on my Twitch page as well. So if you would like to go catch that, everything will be available. So you don't have to worry if you pop in a little bit late. But with that, I would love to introduce our lovely speaker for this week. We have Tom Mauro, who is the VP of Talent Management at Fixated. So hi, Tom. Welcome to the stream.
Thank you. Great to be here, and thanks for having me.
Tom's team has averaged more than 2,000 brand deals, guys, over the past 3 years. And with the company with totaling more than 10,000 executed deals since opening. These deals range from a couple grand to 6 figures with top brands, guys. Tom knows all the stuff about brand deals, and I'm sure all of us are excited to go pick his brain to learn how we can go get a slice of, the brand deal pie. So first, getting into Tom's background, I would be so interested to learn, how did you get into talent management in the first place?
Uh, that was such a kind intro. Thank you. Feeling, I want to humble myself here. I've been learning this all as, of course, we go. But I actually started in social media 10 years ago. It was actually 2015, and similar to yourself, live streaming. I actually started live streaming on YouTube at the time. The feature had just come out on the platform, so myself and two roommates thought, it'd be a great. YouTube generally pumps out the features that they are promoting, so or trying out. So we're like, let's get on there, and it actually worked to get us into full time. And for anybody else out there who's during doing this creator accelerator that is doing live streaming, I'm sure that they can see it's a lot. It's a huge amount of effort. If you're not live, generally you're not growing unless you're also posting clips and beyond. So after 5 years of doing that full time, I was ready to move behind the scenes. And that's when I'm based in Vancouver, Canada, and I knew Adam Ferguson, who had started Elify here, and that's where I got my start. I really got mentored by him and learned everything I could. Grew from there, one deal at a time.
Wow. I love how you started as a creator and now you're working behind the scenes for creators. And I mean, I don't know if you feel this way, but it probably gives you like a better perspective in the creator
Oh,
space in
huge,
general because you've done both.
huge. I'm not going to say that it's a requirement specifically for anybody who wants to get into management, but you're constantly translating between what the brand wants and what the creators want. If you can't speak, the language of creators, or understand where they're coming from or why. I'll give this example because it's really, really useful. Brands will say, "Hey, can you make this one small change?" And I want it in 15 minutes. And you're like, "Oh, literally impossible. We can't do that. We have to refilm, re-edit, stop my editor from working my other video, then get that rendered out, then get it uploaded, and then share it with you." So that's going to take minimum hour or 2 hours. And if I didn't have a background in content creation, I might not have known that. So I can't push back on brands accordingly. So super important. Yeah.
Hmm. So, for people unfamiliar with, you were mentioning Elify and Fixated. So, what is Fixated and what makes you guys stand out?
Ooh, great question. So I'll just touch on Elify was the agency that I got started with. It was started 10 years ago, actually, right around the same time I started social media, with the really, really clear goal of uh, kind of showing that you could represent creators' best interests, not just the brand's best interests, and actually represent creators the same way that you would find in traditional management. And just in January, we merged with a company called Fixated. And th- how to paraphrase a huge company down into one little bit. I'll just say that we're looking again to represent creators, whereas LFI really focused on brand deals, bringing those opportunities, and Fixated had that department, but now they're actually looking to holistically work with creators, start to finish. And what I mean by that is, if you want to monetize in any way, they've got content syndication in house. Of course, we've got brand deals in house, as well as content strategy and services on that side. And everything that we're doing is always with the from the creator's lens. So many people on the team are were creators, have worked in the creator space for a long time, and have seen all the pitfalls. I'm not sure if everyone in the chat has ever heard of like MCNs or stuff like that. It's like all of the failures of those companies. Sorry to put them on blast. Not actually sorry. Um, we're just going to not do that. How do we actually provide value to content creators at every step of the way? How do we actually bring meaningful success to them on both their content side and the monetized side?
I really love
Hopefully.
how Fixated's slogan is turning creators and brands into cultural phenomena. I love that, and I think that is the best descriptor, right, of what you're describing. It's more than just, like, one thing.
Yeah.
So going into brands and brand deals, which is what a lot of creators care a lot about, and there's like a misconception too, where a lot of creators think like, oh, brands only care about like a big follower count, big numbers, but there's so much more that brands care about beyond just that. So when it comes to working with creators, especially smaller creators, what are brands looking for specifically?
Oh, that's a really good one. Actually, I love that you just mentioned like follower count not really mattering. I actually would say follower count is one of the lowest metrics that a brand actually looks like. Back in the day when brands weren't experienced, or the space was still young, a follower count to them signified like success in some way. And while it does do that a little bit now, it's just not even close to a metric that they're relying on, because followers don't mean buyers. And at the end of the day, the brands really want conversions. So that's where they're focused up on. Um, and so could you repeat your question one more time, just specifically so I can answer it?
Mhm. When it comes to working with smaller creators, what are brands
Oh,
looking for?
well, uh, man, there's probably 2 or 3 things that I'm gonna say right off the top. The first thing, when they're seeing your channel, we have to kinda conceptualize where the brands are even seeing your channel. How are they even getting put in touch with your channel? So, through that lens, they're probably either working with a marketing agency or they've engaged with your creator agency, such as myself, and that's either gonna be in, like, a short snippet pitch of why this creator rocks, or from a marketing side, it'll just be your name on a spreadsheet. So when a brand and they're seeing your channel, they want to see, do those views and those demographics line up with what they're expecting? And what I mean by expecting is that some campaigns are more focused on gaming verticals, others are more geared towards lifestyle verticals, and others are looking for specific age or gender demographics that are going to fit. So that's one piece. And then how many views are they going to expect from that demographic, and how much are you charging for it? So taken as a package, it's like, are you presenting value? And to your keynote on smaller creators, when you're a smaller creator just getting started, and you can look at it, you're not just trying to get money out of these deals. A lot of it is also going to be about, can you also be setting yourself up for success in the long term by building brand partnerships with people. So sometimes that's presenting value, not just in giving away all your services for free, which I'm not advocating for in any way, but can you be competitive? Can you get in taking some of the money up front, but also building that brand resume so you can show the next brand how great you are to work with? Hopefully that answered it in a few different ways.
No, I think that was so helpful. One thing that you were mentioning is about like how a creator can provide value to a brand. Could you elaborate a little bit on the value you're describing?
Oh, for sure. Um, so some of it's going to be the easy low hanging fruit, which is you're providing eyeballs to a brand, right? So there's the simplest thing. How many eyeballs are you providing? And that's where I say this with any creator that I get the pleasure of working with. There's a hierarchy of needs, and number one at the top of that is actually mental health. And I'll go through why that's relevant. But if you aren't taking care of your mental health, that's likely to lead to burnout. That's likely going to lead to just negative consequences. But below that is your content itself. That is, are you constantly increasing the value that you're putting into it? And only below that do we get to monetization. So when I say, what value can you provide to the brands? Well, number two on that pyramid is, how many views are you getting? How much content are you able to put out for them? And then further to that, I would then say, now we get the opportunity to be creative for the brand. I will say if you are just thinking that you're gonna get a script, you're gonna read that script to your audience, the brand's gonna hate it, the audience is gonna hate it, and you're gonna hate it. So don't do that. So when you say value, it's like, how do I take this ad read and make it interesting for not just myself, not just the brand, but also for my audience? That's gonna have them, the audience, stick around, enjoy themselves, and then, of course, hopefully encourage them to buy, which leads to a better, stronger brand partnership.
Got it. That's really helpful to note for creators. Going into what brands are looking for, what are the
Mhm.
top 3 things brands care about?
Oh, man, I could say conversions, conversions, conversions.
Mm,
It does depend on platform a bit. I would say short form platforms, they focus a bit more on exposure. What a fun word. They just wanna get their eyeballs out there, or get more eyeballs, get their content out there for more eyeballs. But when it comes to YouTube and Twitch in particular, or long form, they're looking for how many people can you drive to download an item, buy an item, or anything in between. So that's number one thing they're looking for is, are they going to be able to get that? Past that, again, I'll go back to alignment for demographics. And the reason I'll hit on that one again is there are times you're like, I know that I could do really well with that brand, but the brand might overlook you. I would just encourage you, not to, anybody in the audience, not to take that personally. Uh, they are constantly experimenting with different demographics or verticals that they're trying to tackle. So you could think that I would be a perfect fit for this, but they might not be at that part of their experiments yet. So conversions, demographics, and then thereafter it's creativity. Like if you can show a brand resume with awesome sponsorship, ad reads, and so forth, that is going to get some brands bought in that they can get a piece of that.
noted. That is very helpful. In terms of creators standing out to brands, because 'cause I'm sure everybody in chat, people are very intrigued, how could they catch the brand's eye?
Mm.
What could make a creator stand out to the brands?
Um, as simple as this might sound, be camera facing. It doesn't. It's not. I want to clarify for anybody. This is not any sort of knock against VTubers or any sort of knock against faceless content creators. They can be wildly successful, but if you aren't camera facing, which will instantly, the brand will then see who you are and what, hopefully what you're about. Then you need your personality to be the stand in for that. So I'd say be unique, be interesting. And there's only one person that has the same face as you. So being camera facing can be a piece of that. Uh, and then, of course, next thing to stand out is how's your actual community, right? Are you getting engagement on your posts? An indicator that an exercise I go through with the talent representatives that I oversee is when I go to a channel, we talked earlier about follower counts. I'm actually going to use that as a metric to gauge how engaged an audience is with a creator. You could imagine a creator in your head that has 10 million subscribers, but they're only getting 100,000 views per video. And you start going, wait a minute, why are there 10,000 people who said I want to, or 10 million people who say I want to subscribe here, but they're not watching? And then the same could be true if I've only got 10,000 followers, but I'm getting a million views per video. I might think, wait, why are there a million people watching, but only 10,000 have chosen to hit that button? And how likely are they to click on my link to download products if I'm the marketer there? So a few things to stand out is going to um, be creative, be unique, be yourself, and then cultivate an engaged community. Yeah, I'd say hopefully that's
I
in
think the
line.
engaged community is super important too. Both like an engaged community and just like one that converts well.
Yeah,
Pivoting
absolutely.
pivoting into getting brand deals as a creator, because a lot of people in chat I also see are asking questions about this, right? Some creators get brand deals and some creators struggle a little bit more to do so, even though maybe the numbers are about the same, or maybe one person has more numbers than another person, or like more engagement, right? What separates creators who consistently land brand deals from creators who struggle to get them?
It's such a good question. I'll actually address a small point that you said in the middle there first, and then go into the momentum piece, or the next piece of it, which is I would, as best as you can, and as tough as it is, not compare yourself to others, because as much as you might be in the similar verticals or so forth, everyone is unique and their channels are unique, and hopefully their audiences are unique. So there, as I was saying a little bit earlier, there could just be a demographic difference between your content slightly. It might be 5% more female somewhere else or 5% older somewhere else. And that might be enough to get them into different budgets than what you're in. So just say the best you can. Don't compare yourself to others. Uh, the other piece, though, is momentum, and that's obviously a bit of a Freudian slip when I started off with there, and that is brand deals lead to more brand deals, and more brand deals leads to more scarcity, and more scarcity leads to higher rates and then renewals. Uh, Brands are very, maybe rightfully so, skeptical to start spending with a creator when there's no other brands spending in that space or sorry, with that particular creator. So getting just the first few brand deals across the line, so you can say, "Hey, brands, this is what I can do. Given the chance, this is what I can do." That momentum can be huge. So it might just be that they got the first brand deal across the line. They've been able to leverage that into the next one, the next one, the next one. If you can't get the first brand deal across the line, then I would start pulling on the different levers of the business, which is you don't like lowering your rate a bit, opening yourself up to different sponsor opportunities. Offer if you don't want to lower your rate, offering more to the brands as well is an option. And that could just be I'll throw in a social post here or there so you can build that resume. In the beginning, we'll make compromises so that in the future we don't have to.
I love how you immediately gave advice as well for creators to land their very first brand deal, even like alternatives as if you don't want to lower your rate, throwing in more options just so something to get the brand to say yes to get you over that line for the first brand deal. A big one when creators are trying to get brand deals is they pitch to brands. What are some mistakes creators make in this pitch?
Oh man. I mean, I think I've seen it all.
You're
uh,
like, I got a list.
it's like I've helped creators who I've chatted with on the phone, like first time introducing myself and hearing about what their background and sponsorships are, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I got $500 for this deal, and I'm really excited. And it's with a prominent VPN. I looked at the video and it had a million views. I'm like, a million views for $500? Like that's really bad deal." And immediately went to the same VPN with the same creator and said, by the way, the rate is 3,000 now. And they just said, yep, and sent the contracts through. And I understand that even that's a low rate, but the views were fluctuating. There's reasons for it. And then we end up building that into a 12-month partnership as well. So talk about other levers that you can pull. So mistakes that creators make, if they don't have a brand resume at this moment, then going in too high of a rate, you're pricing yourself out of where you're currently at in your career. And this is not to diminish where people are at. Everyone is going to um, be growing and advancing. And trying to start at the top because that's what the internet says or that's what your contemporaries or peers are saying is kind of only going to shoot yourself in the foot, to be honest. So starting too high. And then in the case of what I just shared, starting too low, that's also an option. Though I will advocate that starting too low, you're only giving the brand more value, which only means they're going to come back. That creator that got, we'll just say, ripped off, they got ripped off in the short term, but in the long term, I got them a tens of thousands of dollar deal for a 12-month campaign with a prominent VPN because they showed value. Um, the other side, I would say, like mistakes to be made is as soon as the paperwork comes through, just immediately signing it. So when doing reach outs, if that's part of it, it's like
Oh
read
no.
the contract. There's everything in there. They're going to ask for rights to your likeness to advertise for all of time in any medium and literally in mediums discovered and to be discovered. So mistakes when doing reach outs, I'll take it from that angle is going in too high, going in too low, just signing right away, and maybe jumping too quickly to trying to close the deal instead of trying to talk about the deal. If you're cold reaching out to a brand, you got to think that they're probably getting quite a few reach outs that way. So if you just come in with, "Hey, here's my rate sheet," they're just going to kind of dismiss it. Versus if you have an opportunity to pitch your unique channel in a unique way in which you can do, you might catch their interest a bit more.
I love that. Elaborating a little bit more on cold outreaching specifically, because a lot of creators without the network and connections might have to be cold reaching in the beginning. How would you recommend a creator make themselves stand out in their cold outreach? So one thing you mentioned already is like discussing more and like showcasing more creativity.
Yeah, and I'd probably try to find a way that you can reach out from a social platform where you have a following, because check marks can matter depending on the platform. But if you're reaching out, then immediately they don't have to think, okay, well they're big somewhere else. I have to click links to find out. The brand can just see, oh, this is a person that has a following. Okay, that's interesting, and then they can of course follow you through to wherever you want to go. Um, and then on the there's a it's a little bit tough because every single creator is unique, and I would approach each one unique and individually, to be honest with you. But something to pull away is if you are just dropping something into ChatGPT, no slight, uh, it's going to come out average, and it because all the AIs are all averages of what's out there, and that is what's going to probably get forgotten. I would come in with something a bit more unique, true to yourself. It's an audition, I would say. So, uh, okay, here's some actionable stuff I just thought of. So,
Mhm.
uh, start with one question, and don't start with a paragraph. Like, don't start with multiple paragraphs. It's like it should be short, sweet. They should be able to glance at it and read it. At the moment they can't kind of get an idea of the entire message in one glance, you've written too much. Spend more time, make it shorter. One clear ask at the bottom.
That's perfect. Yeah, I feel like a big one is like, especially when pitching, people want to tell everything about their content, and it's a lot sometimes. It's too much.
Way too much. Don't do it. Don't do it. Run away from that idea.
And then another point about outreaching, and then any other questions as well, I would like to grab it at the end during a Q&A session, but I think this is a question that a lot of people have. Do you think there's like a minimum size or like a too small to outreach to a brand?
Yeah, I personally do. This can be. I don't think it's controversial. It's way too dramatic, but I am a bit of a dramatic person. What can we say? Uh, there is maybe too small when it comes to YouTube. I don't. It's always going to be niche dependent. Gaming has a higher bottom when it comes to content on YouTube because generally gaming content does quite well. So I'd say within that realm, if you're not already averaging 100,000 views per video on YouTube, it's just probably too early. Sure, you can get brand deals. They're going to be a couple $100, and it's going to distract your audience from what you're building. So I would say at that point, focus on the content. There are other niches though, lifestyle, sometimes within beauty commentary, where 50,000 views might be like an average for your niche. So I wouldn't say that's too early to reach out. I'd say that's probably just great. And you might be able to get a pretty lucrative CPM based rate, which would maybe put you into the few $1,000 range at that price. So it will be dependent. I would say if you want too early, let's say 100, under 100, under the average of the space, I just wouldn't. I'd focus on building the content. You'll always be able to get brand deals in the future. Um, so build your content. Uh, Streaming under 100 concurrents, probably that would even 100 concurrents feels really a little bit. I just don't know that it'd be worthwhile for you. But coming from a background within streaming where we had anywhere from 3 to 500 to obviously some peaks for events, we got some like interest from brands, but it was never really enough for us to distract from the community building that we were doing.
Noted. I
Hopefully.
think it's very important you're mentioning as well, like focusing on the content versus like a deal that might detract from what you're trying to build as well. So that is very
Yeah.
interesting to note as well. Thank you for the numbers because
Well,
a lot of
there's
people are
only
curious.
totally. There's a I saw LGT20 with a question that was related
Yes.
just what we were saying, which is it per video or per month? This is gonna hurt. Okay, everyone. It is per video because per month views don't matter at all. They matter 0. And I wanna be really clear about that because, uh, if you uploaded a video every single day and got 10,000 views, by the end of the month, not including your back catalog, you'd be at 300,000 views. A brand is only gonna be sponsored in one of those videos, so they're only getting 10,000 views, to
Thank you for
make
the
sure that's clear.
clarification. That is really important to note. Going more into creators and brand deals as well, getting creators, are there certain types of content or niches that brands are specifically interested in since we were talking about niches?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Um, it It ranges because it's wherever the money is at that moment. I could rewind time, and while we didn't take them because we thought it was a bit negative for the space. Crypto was huge in spend, in 2022, 2021, 2022. Uh, we avoided those deals just because we kind of foresaw the backlash that was going to be coming down from it. But if you were making content that was adjacent to those opportunities, you could have made an absolute fortune off of it. So there's a lot of interest there. Right now, the entire economy, for probably worse, is supported by AI and gambling in some way, whether it's Polymarket, Prize Picks, and beyond. And with that, if you make content that is adjacent to those, there is just more spend available there. Um, to take it into a more though that's trends, I guess I would say. So that hopefully that answers like what's hot right now is those two. Anything AI, and that's AI generative or AI assistive, and then anything that is gambling or markets related is really good for spend. That is, but the major players in the space are always looking. Like I mean, Squarespace is always spending. Raycon earbuds are always spending. Mobile games are always spending. VPNs really hot right now is actually the privacy protection stuff, Incogni, Delete Me, and beyond. So anything that can, if you're watching YouTube and you see your contemporaries working with brands, like, oh, there's probably spend in that space, so there's money to be made. Yeah, does that answer it? I hope that answers
No,
the
no, no, it's a
question.
great answer. I mean, the trending stuff was answered, and then also like, hey, take a look at who's sponsoring those around you. That's probably
Yeah,
what's popular right now.
yeah.
A question that I know a lot of creators are also interested in, they're talking about being brand friendly, maybe being a little provocative. What are some red flags that make brands pass on a creator?
Oh, I mean, you could being too controversial is one of them. If you've had a controversy in the past that might come up, that could have brands distancing themselves from you. If you want to go on a little bit more of a micro scale, if you don't have past brand sponsorships, some brands are just a little bit wary. They don't really want to be the first ones. And then if you pair no past brand sponsorships and exorbitantly high rates, I mean, you're probably the brand's going to go, oh no. And I just want to add to that. Um, if you are just getting started and you have no brand sponsorships and you pitch yourself too high, even when you lower your rate, those brands still may pass on you because in their minds, because they're not, we think about it's our lives. We only have our lives. So it's like hyper focused. The brands don't care. They don't even, exactly. They're not checking in all the time the way that we are. So they might just see, oh, that's the name that we said no to last week. They're probably not a good fit now. They might not even recognize that the rate was changed, unless you have agents that are diligently following up and telling them and so forth. And the last bit is if your rate has gone down since the last time they talked to you, they probably think you've gone down. So red flag, starting your rate too high. I'll start with that.
Hmm. What about like brand friendliness versus like slightly more provocative topics to be featured in content like alcohol or other substance consumption?
Yeah, I would say those actually are there's definitely a spectrum on that one. If you're just a bit controversial, I actually haven't seen a huge amount of correlation. If you're kind of, let's just say, playing within the generalized lines, like you're not getting yourself into news articles and so forth. But if you're just a bit edgy, if you use profanity, that sort of stuff, like it doesn't really matter. It might just adjust. The most mainstream brands might not want to be able to work with you. But again, anybody you see in the Raycons and beyond of the standard players, they've advertised on all of those different channels and they're kind of fine with it. Um, but if you end up going into politics or or anything that's a little bit more topical in that same sort of vein, you're just gonna have brands that just don't want the risk. They just don't want that, associated to themselves. Not all brands. A lot of political channels, a lot of channels that cover some of the conflicts in the world do really well with the security softwares for the alignment reasons. So yeah, being edgy, totally fine. If you push the boundaries, just know that some brand you're gonna start the closer and closer you move, the more and more brands are gonna stop being able to work with you.
That is
Yeah.
really interesting to note. Speaking of, again, brand deals and payments, because a lot of people are asking about this, let's
Mhm.
get into the nitty gritty about brand deal negotiations and how do brands decide how much to pay creators?
Okay, that's a really, really good one. I'm sorry, see, are we gonna give you an ad in 80 seconds here?
Yeah, unfortunately, okay, actually, this is the worst time to actually be in an ad
Oh, man, you know
because
what? No, 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 for the
oh, that's
content, this is the
true. It's
best
like you have
time.
to subscribe those.
Oh, as soon as this ad is done, it's gonna be straight fire, okay? I
That's
promise you,
true.
it's gonna come out. We'll pause on the rate, and right after the ad in 1 minute, we'll tell you all about rates, but I will actually go back to red flags
Mhm.
or, so forth, 'cause I just thought of one over on that side just to bait chat a little bit more, is, if you're not, camera facing or let's say personality forward, that can be something where they aren't gonna watch a whole bunch of your content. So, if you can't kinda hook them immediately into something, they might just not click for more or anything like that with
Well,
that.
then, like, this actually, I have a question about this
Ask me.
specifically. How could a non-camera facing creator, like a VTuber or a completely faceless creator,
Mhm.
sell their personality more in their content for brands?
It totally depends. If you're on YouTube, it'll be kind of a little bit easier, I think, because you get to edit, right? You get to
Yeah.
pull all those different components together. If you are on stream, that's where clips can really be effective. Taking those moments that are really, really good, or filming bits that are specific for YouTube, short form, etc., on other platforms, because not everyone can sit through a whole stream.
Got it. That is really helpful as well because a lot of like people who are participating in the program are in some way non-camera facing and they're definitely wondering about how to land brand deals.
Yeah.
And now that everyone's outside of the ad jail, apology, that was actually the worst timing ever for the ad. I did not notice that ad popping
Yeah.
up, but would love to then hear your answer now on how brands decide how to pay creators.
Okay, excellent. If everyone's back here, it will range. I can speak most confidently when it comes to YouTube sponsorships. That's where we've just done the majority of our deals. So I will start with that. Uh, the average that we're seeing is somewhere between a $10 to a $20 CPM, and CPM being cost per mil, or for every 1,000 views. So you can imagine if you get 1,000 views, somebody will pay you between $10 and $20 for that. There's the baseline, simplest piece. Now, from that, we have to apply modifiers. That I can give you that average would be for a generally 18 plus audience, and generally speaking, somewhere around a 50% US demographic. If all of a sudden you have a 70% US demographic, well, then you can definitely charge at the higher end of that spectrum or even above $20 for a CPM. If your audience is 20% US and the rest are overseas and non-English speaking countries, well, then you're going to be on the much, much lower end. And we can apply the same sort of modifiers. Is your audience mostly 18 and above? Great, you can charge in within that range. If your audience is mostly below 18, you're going to charge a lower end. So we can use that as a few of the different pieces to think about. But anywhere between 10 to a $20 CPM is really good. Last few modifiers, because we're always constantly pulling levers. This would be for one 60-second YouTube integration placed within the first 5 minutes of a video, generally speaking, in that range.
Noted.
Um, If you're gonna go for dedicated content, I mean, it's how much it's worth for you, your audience, and beyond. And sometimes it actually, for dedicated, just doesn't align. I've had to tell brands, "No, we can't work with you because our rate would be 4x what an integration is. That wouldn't be worthwhile for you because we're only gonna get this many views, but that's how much it's worth to my client. So we're just not gonna do it." And at the other time, sometimes I'm like, "Hey, by the way, it's gonna be 4x and it's gonna be worth it. So pay us that money." It could be in there. Um, that's YouTube. And is that like a clear definition, even for chat? If you have any maybe questions on that, I can answer specific. And then if not, I can talk about other platforms as well from my experience.
I think for YouTube, this is great. Like you gave straight up numbers. It's easy math, you know, your average views
Easy
multiplied
math.
by, well, average views per thousand multiplied
Yep.
by 10 to
Yep.
20 based on your
Yep.
demographics.
Yep. 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 And then you can add the other little, then there's the personal modifiers, which is, do you want more brand deals in your content? Lower the rate. If you want less brand deals, but you want you can increase the rate until you got brands that are start saying no. When it comes to Twitch, uh, I've heard and had success in limited capacity, anywhere between a $1 to a $2 per average concurrent viewer for 1 hour. So if you have 100 concurrent viewers, somewhere between $100 to $200 for every hour, kind of fits. When you're at the lower end, you do get a little bit of leeway to add the like $50 there, though, just to say you might charge 250 for an hour, and brands might be willing to pay it because it's not a huge difference to their budget. Um, I'll say when it comes to, and that would be for let's say streaming a game that you maybe normally wouldn't stream. If it's really fully dedicated and outside of your wheelhouse, charge the rate up. If it is just a every so often mention this, stream is sponsored by HelloFresh, then you can charge a little less. Um, with those other socials, I think you can also play around with adding shout outs on Instagram Reels or a tweet or something like that in order to boost the race to really make it worth your and the brand's time. Just to put that out there. Last one, I'll go on for short form. This one's generally a little bit lower. I've seen because short form can go quite viral. And doesn't always lead to conversions. It often just leads to exposure from my experience. So generally anything from like a $1 to a $5 CPM, based upon average viewership, is more or less what I've seen. More or less. Uh, if you're at the tippy top or the bottom, I don't know, there's no rhyme for bottom, then you might adjust accordingly, but that's kind of in the middle range there.
These are all great numbers. I hope everybody's taking notes. I'm trying to write it in Twitch chat so people catch the
Yeah,
numbers,
yeah.
but these
That's
are
good.
great. So, what if it's like hypothetically, we have a creator, never done a brand deal before, and they're unsure about how much they should charge for their first deal? What's a good way to think about pricing, just based on the CPMs you gave?
Yeah, so it's gonna again, really, I would just apply all of those different metrics that I mentioned per platform on wherever they want the sponsorship. So we'll just use YouTube. You're averaging 50,000 views per video, but you believe that you're ready for sponsorships, even though it was against part of my advice. Then you just apply that CPM. Okay, I'm gonna get somewhere between 500 to $1,000. It's your first deal. I would go on the lowest end of that, right? And just go $500 and close the first deal. Once you close the first deal, you have something you can show to brands. If you absolutely knock it out of the park for them, well, then excellent. They're going to come back, which is the best indicator that you can then sell to the next brand partners. And you can then charge them either 500 again to show that they're going to come back a third time. You can sell that to your next partner, or you can say, excellent. But when you come back for multi video, that was my introductory price and so forth. You don't want to bait and switch, not to be misconstruing my words here, but there is something to be said about if you find a reason for your price to go up due to popular demand. I have another competing offer. They've offered me X amount, $1,000, but I'll give it to you for 750. Like, there's ways to increase your rate accordingly from there. But renewals are like the number one indicator for other brands to spend money on your channel.
That is so important, actually, the renewals as well, because it's like they're coming back, so they're intrigued.
Yeah.
So, how can a creator make a brand want to work with them again?
Ooh, I think it's easy. Like, sorry, not easy, extremely hard, truly extremely hard. But what I mean is like the math is very, very easy. Give them more or ask for less, right? Like that's it. So when you get that $500 deal, don't treat it like a $500 deal. Treat it like a $5,000 deal. Give them everything. And this is not about alienating your audience. This is about actually being the most creative version of yourself that
Mm.
can serve both the brand's needs and I'll give this example, and I'm sure M&J TV, who's a longstanding and incredible client of ours, he was doing brand deals that were supposed to be 60 seconds, and he kept. This is 5, 6 years ago now. He kept asking us, "How do we lower the demands? Like, I want to do a 45-second ad. I want to do a 30-second ad. My audience hates this. They hate this." Uh, and we were charging a rate associated to that. And in a call with one of our co-founders, um, we said, "How about the opposite? Give the brand a 90-second ad, but make it its own video. Like not a dedicated, but like make it 90 seconds in the middle of your video that's really fun." And now if you go to M&J TV, his YouTube channel, every ad that he does is a sketch. It's comedic. That actually led to the creation of a character called Grunty Boy from Team Rocket because he's a Pokemon content creator. And that character from the ads only showed up in the ads, became so popular, he got his own playthrough. like his own Let's Play. So this is what I mean is like get paid 500, make it so good it's unforgettable. Your audience is going to love it. The brand is going to have to come back. Have to. So, and the other side is if you then have the opportunity where you've killed it for them and then you could say, hey, by the way, I'll renew for 10 more or three more of these for $500 each. Now you're offering more for, less than what you might charge somebody else at $1,000 per deal or so.
That is awesome. I love how the character got their own Let's Play.
Oh yeah. And
Just
it blew up. It got like more than a million views. I think it's at millions of views. It's great.
wow, that is actually amazing. So
I want to
going
add one more
Oh,
fun. Sorry
yes,
to cut
yes.
you off.
No,
One
no,
more
no, of
fun
course.
bit. In the playthrough of the sponsor character, the M and J Michael then jumped in and did the sponsor read in that person. So it was a total flip of the roles, and it was hilarious. The audience loved it.
Wait,
So
that's so cute, what?
yeah, 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 good stuff.
Wow, I love the creativity though of like, "Hey, instead of like these 60-second deals that you don't wanna do, let's make it something else." That
Totally,
is
totally.
amazing. And
Yeah, be
going
creative.
into increasing the value of a brand deal, how can a creator increase the value of a brand deal without just, "Give me more money"?
Be better. Is that an option? Jokes, jokes. Um, when you're doing it, I mentioned like give the brand that 90 seconds, really treat it like an awesome one, make it engaging for your audience. Anybody on, and again, I'll speak to YouTube, but we can also go to, uh, we can say similarly to Twitch or even other short form platforms. On YouTube, you can see the average view duration graph, right? And it starts off at 100%, and then you get drop in viewerships all the way to the end of the video. If you can show a brand that your ad was so good that that drop in viewership was much slighter than average, like it only dropped 5% of your viewers or so forth, um, that's a way to increase the value because it means that more eyeballs actually saw that particular piece of content. And that comes from making really, really engaging ad reads.
Got it. Analytics. The analytics and data never lie. Mm-mm.
Never lie. Never lie.
So let's pivot into talking about the future of brand deals. Are
Hmm.
brands moving more towards micro creators or bigger creators right now?
Uh, it's a constant pendulum, just to say that, where they spend a whole bunch of money on big creators, lose a bunch of money, and go, "Oh, that wasn't a good idea," and they come back to micro creators, and then they, spend a bunch of money there, and then they go, "Oh, I got to get some big creators in this," and it kind of goes back and forth. Last year was um, I would say a bit more of a focus on not exactly micro creators from our side. We don't have a huge experience with micro creators. Um, but they were definitely trending a little bit away from our largest creators. And this year we've started to see them trending back that direction. What I'll say is this should not be for everyone in chat to despair. There is always spend at all sides of the spectrum. Like no matter how big you are, they're always spending. It's just where the kind of focus lies. And right now, there's a bit more focus on the largest creators on the platform, but we do still see a lot of opportunity for small and medium-sized creators as well. And if you're in the medium-sized, people are always spending with you because it's kind of a Venn diagram. They're all like whether they're going micro, it'll be micro to medium or medium to large. So
And just for people in chat who might not know, like what numbers would you define like micro, medium, and large?
yeah, everyone's going to define it a little bit differently.
Mhm.
Personally, I'm going to say if you're getting under, I mean, well, we got to add one more category, which is like small. Okay, so there's micro, and I'd say micro would be probably your under 50,000 followers on whatever platform. I would say, and then small creators would be under, let's say, 250,000 somewhere. Like medium would be 250 to um, I mean, probably 750 or so. And then you get into large above that. And then, like, once you get over, I'd say getting your gold play button or the million subs is an incredible feat. And that is like, there's only, I think it's, I think it's over 10,000 now, but it's like, it's in the tens of thousands, maybe 90,000 or so people have ever gotten a gold play button. And that includes duplicates. Um, so you're definitely in quite small company, but once you cross over that like 2-3 million, it's even smaller and smaller. So those are the extra large creators I'd say is above 3 million.
Got it. And then are you talking specifically one platform or this is combined following for the creator?
I would say on like one platform,
Okay,
and the only reason I'm going to use that definition specifically is that a brand, unless you're doing a cross-platform promotion where you're getting short form and you're getting a stream and you're getting YouTube, they're generally just paying you for the one platform that you're on.
got it. I just wanted to clarify just in case some
Yep,
people in chat were wondering.
great
Thank you
one.
for answering that because that is really helpful to note kind of like where, the creators are lying. And then talking about the future, what trends do you think will shape brand deals over the next 3 to 5 years?
On that one, I'm seeing a trend of more and more traditional brands coming into the space, and that is a double-edged sword. You're gonna see a positivity. They're gonna have a whole bunch of spend that they're gonna have. You're gonna see some of your favorite creators becoming a lot more like, let's say, mainstream celebrity. They're gonna be on. We're already seeing it. They're on billboards. They're in traditional commercials and beyond. I believe that's gonna be happening. But those major brands don't just want to pay you for a 60-second ad. They want to hire a brand ambassador. They're going to be looking for people within specific niches and they're going to want to put you everywhere. They're going to want it's almost you got to look at how big of a problem that you are solving for a brand. It's a good mindset to have it within. If you are um, providing 50,000 eyeballs, 50, what a win. Uh, okay, no, we got some time. Um, what a win, but that's only 50,000 eyeballs. If you are a brand like Coca-Cola, that's not going to be as worthwhile to you. So if you have 50,000 eyeballs, it's probably got to be unique 50,000 that are in a certain demographic niche that they want. And then how can we add to that? We're going to put you on billboards. We're going to put you in different commercial copy. That solves a big problem for them because they don't have to hire an actor. They hired you. So more demands, more money. It'll be, I think, a step up in the space.
Got it. So more money. That's what us creators love to hear.
Yes, 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 yes. More money, more work.
True. That's a great problem to have. Let's
Yeah.
before we get into the Q&A real quick, let's go into some rapid fire questions that I think people will be
Ooh.
very interested in. Number 1, if a creator wants to land their very first brand deal, what should they do this month?
Call me. Is that an option? No.
Well, where could they call you?
They find me on LinkedIn there, or actually my you can email as well, which would be my full name, Thomas Tomas period my last name at fixated.com. You can shoot me an email. I'm always happy to talk to people. That said, of course, half jokes aside, I would actually say if you want to land on your first brand deal, focus on your content. Brands reach out to creators directly. And if your content absolutely rocks, you will be found, or you'll be found by my team doing cold outreach, anyways.
Perfect. I spell your name right? I dropped it in Twitch chat.
Nailed it.
Perfect. Secondly, what's one thing creators should stop doing immediately when working with brands?
Treating them like they're the enemy. Brands are not our friends specifically. We should always be a little bit wary, but they are partners. Treat them like partners. If you have a problem, approach it like a collaborator.
Perfect. What's one thing creators should start doing if they want to get more brand partnerships?
Uh, find brands that align with the content that you're putting out there. Give them a lot because it will only help increase your brand resume and beyond. Not to beat a dead horse there, um, and also your audience is going to like it more. So give more to the brands or ask for less so that you can build up a resume so that you have so many brands asking you to do deals with them that you have to charge them more.
That is a
Happily or
great
begrudgingly.
struggle to have.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then finally, before we get to the Q&A, when should a creator consider joining an agency?
That's a good one. I'll try to give you the most unbiased approach that I have, all jokes aside, is
Mhm.
when you are at that moment that I talked about where you have as many views as like your contemporaries within a space that you start seeing getting brand deals. And I would say it's worthwhile to get started a little bit earlier. Um, I was giving the warning a little bit earlier on. Those contracts can be brutal and they can lock you into crazy stuff. There are penalty clauses that are in these contracts that make you liable for more than you would even make out of the deal. So getting a agent involved from early on is usually a good idea. A few just key notes and personal bias showing. Find a agency that does not want to lock you in for long term. Elify was month to month on every creator they worked with for the entirety of their existence, and we had clients working with for 7+ years. If people are good at their jobs, they don't need to lock you in. There isn't a reason I can think of to sign an agreement over that way. And I'm not trying to say people in the space are bad for doing it. I just don't know that I agree with their rationality. Nobody should be charging you fees. It's commission only. Um, that's my belief. Again, worked that way. If anybody's trying to charge you more than our we charge 20% commission on the deals that we're able to secure. So, and that's generally speaking industry standard. I could see an argument to be made for maybe 25%. Technically, some people take 30. I don't agree with those numbers, but I am saying that I wouldn't say those people are horrible individuals. If somebody's charging a little bit less than that, great. I'm telling you already, it's a thin margin game. So 20% is pretty industry standard across the way on that side. So there's just a few things to look out for when you're looking for an agent so that you don't end up with one that is essentially going to put your name on a spreadsheet, blast it out, not be active, sit on your inbox, not give you access to your inbox, um, so that they're just farming your reach outs. So they can feed the rest of their clients. Hopefully, rant over.
Oh, yeah. There's man, I feel like a good talent agency makes a world of difference, and a bad one absolutely cooks you. So,
Yeah.
thank you for adding the huge red
Yeah.
flags. Speaking of red flags, Crew asks, "How can we look out for dodgy brand deals?"
You know what's a hilarious one? Every time I get a reach out from a company that I don't know, I will type in like brand or agency legit Reddit into Google, and I'll just actually Google it on that side. Additionally, if you do have an agent, they should have a network of people they can ask. So I always reach out to my network that way as well.
I
So if you want to
love
individually
Reddit.
do it, yeah, look up Reddit because it's real people. Reddit, or just Google searching on that side, so you don't end up with yeah. Also, no brand will ever send you something you have to download with a password. That is a way for them to get around your firewall, so they can put ransomware on your computer. Yeah,
Noted. Don't download don't download
don't
stuff with
download it.
passwords, guys. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Vera asks, "What are things you should avoid in contracts?"
Well, I saw the extra note there, which was minimum guarantees. Minimum guarantees are a tool the brand uses to mitigate their risk, and just means that if they say I'm going to pay you $2,000 and I need you to guarantee me 100,000 views, that is a reasonable CPM based rate. So you can say yes to that. I wouldn't worry too much about minimum view guarantees so long as you believe you can hit them. Or you have enough content going up that it would not be the end of the world if you had to give them a second video. Look out for usage rights. That's in 99.9% of contracts, and it will give them access to use the content you create for them anywhere, everywhere, market it, and you'll start seeing yourself in YouTube ads. You're like, what the hell? I didn't agree to that. And you did. You signed the contract. So usage rights and penalty clauses. Usage rights, penalty clauses, and make sure the terms are aligned with what you agreed to.
Those are all really great. I swear too, I really just want to emphasize so many times you guys agree to things in email and the brand just adds stuff into the contract
Oh, so true. So true.
all the time. And then you look and you're
Yeah.
like, dude, I didn't agree to this. And they're like,
Yeah. Whoa.
oops, my bad.
Yeah.
Like, you know what you were doing. Rankum has a question that I think is very specific, but also interesting. Which do you think is better, a commission rate that has the potential to garner higher payments or a flat fee that is a bit lower?
So I mean, this is actually it's a wager you're making at that point. It's like, do you think you're going to convert more or not? You are going to put in work to make that deal happen. You are going to ask something of your audience to make that happen. So there has to be some form, in my opinion, of guaranteed payment. So I would advocate for not doing a G Fuel esque, affiliate only type program, but doing something where you get some sort of minimum guarantee plus the ability to make commissions on top. That said, if you are really aligned with gamer subs, friend of the channel. Sorry to sponsor on your own
No, you're
stuff.
all good.
Uh, uh, they're a good team, and if you're aligned there, then they can actually work towards partnership with them. But just know that you might not see any money from it, so you must love the product in that case. Um, yeah, and I don't think it'll help your brand resume or anything like that. Like, I don't think there's a inherent secret benefit to doing affiliate only deals. I believe that generally they're trying to blast that opportunity out to the most amount of people to get free advertising, which I don't agree with.
I personally feel the same way about affiliate only deals. So
Yeah.
Rankum had a question that was actually earlier that just popped into my mind that I pinned in my brain, ADHD. But he
Yeah.
was asking for exclusivity specifically, hypothetically, it's for a restaurant brand. They're like, you can't work with any other restaurants. How much
Sure.
should you charge for exclusivity?
Uh, if it's within 30 to 90 days that they're asking for, I don't like I or build it into the rate. Generally speaking, I'll say it like this way. It's same thing, sort of thing with a VPN. I wouldn't want to be a creator seen to jump between these different brands. It is a trust building exercise with your creator. If they're asking for more than 3 months, then oh yeah, yeah, let's charge something for it. And generally, I would just actually try to negotiate it down to 3 months, then ask for more money because they generally don't want to pay you for it.
I like how you said build it into your rate.
Yeah,
It's a very
yeah,
strategic way to kind of like get some more money for the things you feel like is
yeah,
worth it without
yeah.
maybe like irritating the brand a little bit.
Of course, yeah. Uh, and I'll just finalize it. Nothing in a contract to the early question should ever be perpetual. Nothing should be perpetual, period. Like literally, there's no term that is allowed to be perpetual. So when it comes to a non-compete or non-circumvention or exclusivity, it should be for, a limited amount of time, 3 months. And if they demand it and they're a massive brand, you really want to do this, then yeah, say, okay, for my exclusive rate is, and then add on truly what you believe that that would be worth to you, because you have to think you're giving up the ability to work with a competitive sponsor.
Thank you for noting that. One thing, and I'm curious about your thoughts, but this is something that I've mentioned previously. Everything is negotiable.
Oh yeah. Well said. Everything. I wanna just maybe, jump on, the side of that as well is when we say everything is negotiable, I actually look at it as everything is a lever. We have a whole, control board in front of us, and it's not just we have to increase rate up or down, it is rate up or down, it is deliverables up or down, it is including usage, it is including other platforms. How do we just if you need a certain rate, how do we justify it? If you need lower deliverables, how do we justify that? And we can adjust any one of those independently or together.
I love that. I love the lever analogy. That
Yeah.
is beautiful. Now, we've hit time, unfortunately, as much as I would love to hostage Tom for as much information as we could get out of you as possible. So again, would LinkedIn be the best place that people could contact you
Yeah, that'd be
and
a
your
great one.
email? Okay.
Yeah. I'd say LinkedIn probably even better. My inbox gets kind of full, so that'll probably be a good place.
I most definitely could imagine. So, anyways, guys, can we get some W's in chat for Tom taking time out of his day to come out here and share all this lovely information with us? Thank you, Tom, again for being here. I'm sure you're going to be flooded with LinkedIn invites and emails now. Everyone's going to be like, I want to work with you
What
together.
have I done?
You're like, oh, I have to check my email after this.
Yeah.
So, thank you again for coming on. And appreciate you and everybody else for being here as usual. And with that, thank you everybody again for being in this stream and this workshop. We learned so much from Tom and all the knowledge that he had to share. Thank you everybody for being here. And again, tomorrow we'll be having another workshop because for the Creator Accelerator program hosted by Blurp and Streamladder out here motivating us creators to grind in a 6-week window, we have workshops happening every single week. Multiple workshops, in fact. If you did miss this workshop but you came in really late, it's all good. I get it. Time zones are real rough. The VOD is immediately available on my channel. So you didn't miss anything. Hop into the VOD right after this. It will be cut and edited and it will go up on Blurp's YouTube channel as well. So don't worry about that. You will immediately have access to it. You didn't miss anything. So with that, thank you everybody for being here again. Tomorrow's workshop will also be at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So I hope you guys will be there for that. And if you guys aren't available, the VOD will also be up instantly. So thank you everybody for being here. I appreciate you guys so much. And I hope to catch you guys in another workshop or in the Creator Accelerator Discord.